One of the biggest challenges I think we found as a family living with Smith-Magenis Syndrome was how alone we felt. I remember a geneticist saying that it was one of the hardest genetic disorders to live with. And what we found was that we were kind of abandoned.
Smith-Magenis Syndrome is so incredibly rare. There just are not, there's no magic pill, there's no magic answer. It's just a lot of unknowns.
And many times all we needed was for somebody to say, hey, we're thinking about you. How are you doing?
We just received our diagnosis for our daughter Presley. It has been very uncertain for us.
We do deal with a lot of anxiety-related behaviors, such as asking the same questions over and over again, asking many questions about our everyday events in our life.
Constant, intense, never-ending questions. The questions are repeated again and again and again.
It's not something that's going to go away. It's there for a lifetime. And you have to learn how to live with it and accept it.
It still affects him now he's 8, and it will affect him when he's 18, and will affect him when he's 28 and 38. It's not something that gets any easier from one day to the next or with age.
It's a 24/7, 365 days a year job that never ends.
I wish that people would stop saying, he'll get better, he'll outgrow it. He won't. He's not sick. He has a genetic syndrome.
The all-encompassing nature of caring for someone with SMS and how that can be super rewarding, loving, hysterical, amazing, brilliant sense of humor. And then the other side, the yin and the yang, the really difficult behavior, the problem behaviors that there are moments when you look up and you say, oh my gosh, this is so hard, and it all comes together.
When they comment of how lovable he is and how he has really good manners, and I will sometimes comment back, yeah, that's the good side, but you haven't seen the Dr. Jekyll side that we deal with on a daily basis.
Emily can go from being the most engaging, happy, incredible, positive child to, in a split second, attacking herself, attacking her brother, lying on the floor and refusing to do anything.
We try to put in a lot of structure and rules and systems and processes. And, maybe that works for a little while. Maybe you feel like you're on track and you're making some progress. But there's always that one day that rears its ugly head that just kind of throws you off course. And you feel like you're starting all over again. And that can be extremely frustrating.
And knowing what's triggered that behaviour can sometimes be really difficult.
And how unpredictable not even each day is, but each minute or second of each day.
Parenting a child with Smith-Magenis Syndrome is an effort that really goes beyond parenting. It's really a full-time caregiving job. And it can be very taxing emotionally, mentally, and physically.
The behaviors are very difficult to manage. And you can't discipline a child with SMS the same way you can a typical child. And I find that often people will offer suggestions such as, why don't you just say no? Or why don't you be more strict with her and she'll behave better? And I find those kind of suggestions difficult.
It's very hard to watch your child have uncontrollable meltdowns, try to hurt themselves, not be able to express how they're feeling.
Seeing your kid hurting himself and not being able to help is one of the most helpless feelings as a parent, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
The Smith-Magenis Syndrome has a flipped melatonin production cycle, so we're never really sure how much sleep we're going to get.
They don't sleep any day of the week, any week of the year. We don't get any rest.
Lack of sleep affects the way that I look. It affects how I do at work, and it affects relationships, especially with my daughter. She's now in college, so, I'm looking back over the last 10 years, but I would just be too tired to do things. I'm simply too tired to make it to every swim meet, to get to every band concert.
We're not really sure what causes it, and we've tried many medications, and none of them have given us a consistent sleep.
It really just makes everything a lot more challenging
for the child and for the parents.
I've gotten used to telling people I have allergies because I have chronic bags under my eyes. It's easier to say I have allergies than to explain I have a son with a sleep disorder.
And because they wake up so much at night, we have to make sure that there's no way for our daughter to access the rest of the house, because if she does, then we find a great big mess in the morning.
He will be pulling his ears, screaming, crying, and the judgmental stares and just the misunderstanding from other people is really difficult.
A sibling that lives in the same household that is dictated by a Smith-Magenis child can have it very, very difficult. From seeing the day-to-day tantrums and the day-to-day meltdowns, it often can be very, very exhausting as well as emotional for these children.
We may be on an ordinary day walking through the grocery store. She has a complete and total meltdown. I can see other people looking at her like that must be a naughty baby. But honestly, she's not. Most things she does that aren't the best aren't her fault. And she's just different. And I'm happy to have a sister who is different.
There were one thing that I would like other people to understand about SMS is that they sometimes cannot control their actions when they have tantrums.
Is that it's not their fault that they have tantrums and that people shouldn't make fun of them for having them.
They have a hard time controlling their feelings, and I don't really like when people come up and tell me, your sister is weird. It's kind of weird to say that. It's like, just think about it for a second. Maybe it'll change some things.
Traveling with a child with SMS is extremely difficult. It's difficult on the parents, it's difficult on the siblings. It takes a lot of preparation. There's little sleep that goes on when you're traveling, when you're on vacation.
It's deeply interwoven into every aspect of daily life. It's learning to cope with the difficult behaviours and tantrums. It's overseeing and supervising every activity from cleaning teeth to going to the toilet to getting dressed to every single meal. It's learning to deal with the whirlwind of hyperactivity, the relentless repetitive questions and attention-seeking behaviours. And it's about planning every outing so that you have a backup plan and an exit strategy. And it's about doing all of that on very little sleep and a very disturbed sleep pattern.
But you put a smile on your face and you be there for your family and you tell them it's going to be okay. There's a positive side to Smith-Magenis. We have that unconditional love. But especially, we get those hugs. Those hugs that are so tight it goes to your core. And that's what gets me through my day.
Lots of hugs.
It can be exhausting. Luckily, our little guy is super sweet and loving and hilarious.
The giggles, the hugs, the fun, and the love that you unabashedly get from your child forever is just fabulous.
These kids are usually incredibly loving and sweet. My daughter Natalie is globally delayed, but she can say, write, and sign, I love you, and she does.
People with Smith-Magenis Syndrome are typically unconditionally loving, and they have this uncanny ability to make you feel like you're the most important person in the world, and they can do that even with total strangers. It's incredible.
Smith-Magenis children are pretty smart, actually, and they're loving. They're loving people. They have a lot of affection. They're very social.
Even though our SMSers might test low IQ-wise on a piece of paper, they are brilliant people. They almost have a savant side of them that will come from left field and blow your mind on what they know and what they can remember.
So children with Smith-Magenis have many areas of their body where they're impacted. One is with low muscle tone. So Cora has a lot of determination and patience to where she has an intense workout every morning, and Cora has her eyes set on the prize, the teddy bear. Pull that leg up, Cora. Pull that leg up. Pull yourself up. Yes. Another high five. Woo! Every day until we achieve our goals.